So, okay.
It was. Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, when are we ready? Okay, we'll resume our regular session, and we'll move on to the personnel report.
Okay, I'd just like to add two changes. Change the status of Darren Mingus from part-time correctional officer to part-time correctional officer Teamsters, effective August 24th, 2020. And also to terminate Ally Parker from her position of corrections officer, effective today, August 19th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Do we have a second?
Oh,
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. All right, we'll now move on to old and new business. Old business, Horton?
Okay, old business, the first thing I have is the prison study evaluation proposal, and
Okay, and I can comment on that. The proposed contract went out to the vendors. They reviewed it. They got back to myself and our solicitor, Dan Miscavige. They requested some minor changes. Attorney Miscavige is working on those, and we think that we're gonna have a final product ready for vote and consideration at our next meeting.
the next thing I have is the proposal from GTL on upgrading our jailhouse management system. And along with that is that they would afford us a body scanner to check the inmates as they come in and see if they have any type of contraband or anything on or in their person. These actually do an x-ray of the full body. And, you know, is pretty highly effective for the combating of contraband. Also, in addition, because they would be providing that to us at no cost to the county, they would like to have inmate tablets put in the facility as well. This would be something that, you know, would kind of check off a lot of boxes for us. You know, right now that we're in the middle of this COVID pandemic, we haven't had any visitation for the inmates since pretty much the beginning of April. You know, these tablets would be have the capability of doing video visitation as well as messaging with their family members that could be you know, monitored by the facility. Right now, we've been lucky. We haven't had any type of issues with the inmates. They've been, you know, pretty well behaved. But, you know, right now, like I said, they haven't seen a family member or friend face to face since the beginning of October, or April, I'm sorry. So, you know, that's something that you know, these tablets would check off. They'd also be capable of downloading our law library system on it, which would cut down on the movement of inmates from their housing units to the library, which obviously would cut down our chances of contraband movement as well. Their request and grievance forms can be put on the system. Educational component with GED classes as well as job skills. And, you know, like I said, the system is monitored 24/7 by the CCF staff. We would obviously put together a policy and procedure for these. You know, it's not something that the inmates would get to quote-unquote play with, you know, a whole day. They actually don't even work in their cells. They'd have to be out in the day room with them. You know, so whether we decide if they want, we give them an hour a day to utilize them, 2 hours a day, whatever that may be, you know, that would be up to the facilities what would best fit our needs and wants at the time. As far as the messaging, you know, it is programmed with keywords from a list generated by the FBI to identify possible nefarious activity, and would alert the staff and would not actually send that message to the inmate until we would review it and either, you know, approve or deny that message, and can also be customized with words or phrases that are local to the area as well. So I don't know if there's any other questions, concerns on these, and I'd entertain any of that at this time.
Okay, we'll open up the floor for any debate or comment.
The only thing that I have, I mean, I'm sold on the body scanner. The tablets, I'm not. So I think we should maybe do a little bit more research on this body scanner. And, I mean, I look at it, if we gotta buy one and we need it, we should get it, but I need a little bit more information on these tablets. I mean, I think it's, like I said, I'm not sold on it.
I'm ready to move the vote on this, actually. And I think, I don't know if a motion has been made, but I'm ready to move and vote on this once the discussion is.
Okay, all right. So just a couple of comments I want to make. We had these individuals here at our last meeting, and they talked about the benefits, and it was a sales pitch, obviously, we all know that. But it really isn't no cost, unless I miss something. Our reimbursement would be less if we take the body scanner. So there is a hidden cost there. If we opted, as Rocky said, to get the body scanner by itself, and we opted to allow these tablets in later, we're actually gonna have more of a reimbursement, so it's not really no cost, although I don't know what the significance is. The other issue that I had, and I expressed that last time, is, you know, the sales pitch talks about how we can schedule and program in certain keywords, and these things can be observed and there's oversight. But there was no talk of the personnel needed to conduct the oversight, and that was an issue that I had. You know, yeah, we can do all that stuff, but who's gonna be watching it? So we need, you know, if we don't have personnel watching it, it's not gonna do us any good. And I like the idea of the body scanner. As the warden and I talked many times, I think it's a necessary piece of equipment we
Yeah.
need. The question I have is the avenue we need to get it there.
Yeah.
And the final comment I want to make is I'm reluctant to move forward with something of this size and magnitude without the benefit of the prison study. I think we're gonna learn a lot from that prison study, and I know that GTL wants to do this now, but the question I need is, if we would decide to do this in a year, is there any drawback from doing that? I know, you know, we can keep going with our contract now, but I'm sure GTL will wanna talk to us again if in a year we say, hey, we're now interested, can we redo this contract? I'm sure they're not gonna say no, my guess.
Well, and the bigger picture on that right now is, I mean, the whole reason I kind of went to this is because we need our system upgraded. Currently, right now, we're running an older version of their system. I did order new computers for this year's budget, which are sitting over in IT right now because we can't use them because the current system we're running is not compatible with the new computers. So, you know, if we want to scrub this idea, I then make the recommendation that we just go ahead and upgrade our JMS system without all these bells and whistles. And because it's something we have to get done here, you know, to get the computers up to the facility and get everything up and running, you know, that we have. So, you know, that would be my only concern of waiting. I mean, can we, a year from now, say, okay, let's look at the tablets or something? Absolutely, you know, they're always willing to listen no matter the time. But with this, you know, if the board's looking at, you know, they want to go a different route with getting the body scanner and not getting the tablets at this time, you know, then I just would ask that I could go back to them and get some type of proposal from them just to upgrade the system so we can get things moving with the computers.
Yeah, because you look at it like the price that they gave us for the body scanner, I'm sure that's the retail price, that's the highest price that you can get.
Yeah.
And maybe we could purchase it for half the price.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt, if we wouldn't have this,
Yeah.
I would go for the body scanner right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, it's something that's needed, but I said, I'm just not sold on the tablets.
Yeah, and I think this is a one-size-fits-all body scanner. This is the same thing they would have offered to any other correctional facility. Again, we need to ensure it fits the unique needs of the Carbon County Correctional Facility, and I think, you know, jumping on the bandwagon of Tony is that study might help feed the RFP to find the right scanner for this environment.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
So based on what the warden said, it almost seems to me, and I could stand corrected, is that we don't have enough information to really vote on it unless we have a proposal from GTL for the upgrade less the tablets. So I think that's the next step for us, is to get that proposal, and then we can consider that, we can consider the proposal they have now, and we can decide where we wanna go. Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
We could also look into another, different body scanners then.
Yeah, I think we could do that later, I don't know if we have to do that right away, but I think what we need now is a proposal, sans the body scanner and tablets to consider, and before we do anything, so Warden, could you make that happen for our next meeting, and then we'll be able to take this up again,
Will do.
okay?
I like that idea.
Okay, next thing I have is the fingerprinting fees. Last meeting, we kind of discussed that, and the board had asked me to reach out to clerk of courts and collections, as well as the treasurer's and controller's office in regards to the fingerprinting fees. But what I found out is that when we collect the fingerprinting fees at the $75 fee, those monies are taken to the various MDJ offices or the collections office, and they're put in the offender's escrow account. So we don't receive that full $75 right away. That gets kind of doled out to all their court costs and fines and restitution, and we get a portion of that, you know, each month or however they do that. So we don't see that full $75, you know, right away. Also, the treasurer had some concerns of doing another financial account, whether it be a checking account or something like that, and having the jail, you know, put those funds in that account and then writing checks out to the places. So my recommendation would be to have one flat fee, have no money collected at the jail, have that flat fee, you know, added to the court costs, and, you know, just kind of move on from it. That way there, you know, it's less money being collected at the jail and less chance of you know, something happening down the road.
So you're doing away with the discounted by paying up front?
That, I think, is about the best option right now, unless we have something in there that those individuals pay that discounted fee right at the magistrate's level or something like that. I don't know if that could
When
be
we
a possibility.
instituted this, the discount fee was to ensure that we would get the funds up front and wouldn't have to worry about going to collections. They sit in collections and we don't collect it at all. And that's one of the reasons, the way I remember it when we implemented this years ago, was that's why we did the pay up front. You get the $75 fee instead of the, what's the other fee, $100?
The $100 if they don't pay
$100
it.
if you,
What
if
we're-
it goes to collection, but then we don't collect as much money from the inmate, so.
And what we're seeing right now is about a 25-30% collection in fees at the discounted rate.
So you only have
That's all.
25 to 30% of people taking advantage of the discounted fee
That's
anyway.
low, yeah, that's low.
It's not
So
what
that's
we were
pretty
sold
low.
on, no.
Right. So I just want to make a comment on this, and this is after numerous conversations with the warden and the court administrator and others. So this kind of ties in a little bit to the e-pay bail system, and it kind of goes back to some issues that were arisen under Mark's predecessor, is that we're trying to eliminate the jail carrying money around. I mean, that's an issue. It's a big issue for me. And we're working through the e-pay bail system where most of that'll be eliminated on bail. So the only thing that would be remaining would be these fees that are being collected. And it seems like we have a reasonable alternative to have these added to court costs, or have them paid at the magistrates, or have them paid directly somewhere else. Now, as far as the discount goes, we're not sure about this, but there may be a way to allow that if there's notifications on a time schedule. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that the discount applies if it's paid before the preliminary hearing, is that right, Warden?
Correct, yes.
So if someone comes in and pays it, as long as the warden or whoever collects the money or does the fingerprinting notifies the court that it was done on a certain date, that date can then be entered into a formula on the computer where they could say because it was paid prior to the scheduled preliminary hearing date, they're entitled to a 75% reduction. Therefore, only 75% of the fee is added the $75 is added to court costs rather than the 1,000. So I think that's a possibility if we want to add that component, but then there was just some discussion on whether it's even worth it if you only have 25 to 30% of people taking advantage of it. So that's where we are.
I had a question. Well, in terms of that machine and doing the fingerprints, the live scan, what about, are there civilians that come in there, not prison population, to get them done, like for adoptions or name changes? And how do they pay them?
They do, and we charge a $20 fee for that, for, you know, people that want just a card printed for work, or like you said, for adoptions or something like that. That money is green sheeted and done through the green sheet system.
Okay.
So what you're asking, Warden, is to eliminate the collection of monies at the prison.
Yes.
And as controller, I think some other people feel the same way. One of my personal goals is to try to reduce as much cash handling as we can through the county offices, because realistically, that's where the abuse happened in the past. So I think anything we can go down that road is a good thing.
So when we do collect the fees through the Bureau of Collections there, when would the county or the prison be reimbursed for those costs of operation of the live scanning net?
Well, basically, what you're looking at is whenever they pay on their fines and costs, we get a portion of that $75. Even if we collect the $75 up front and put that, you know, give that to the Bureau of Collections, once they put that in escrow, it's doled out over everything, so we get a portion of it. So, you know, it could be 6 months till we see that $75, it could be a year
Because my
or forever,
issue is I
right?
never see it in some
Yeah.
cases.
Right, so realistically, if the original intent was to get that money up front, that wasn't happening. Correct.
So then the $75 reduced fee goes away and it's just $100.
Or if the board decides something else, if they want to do something halfway in between that 75 and
That's
100.
been how many years since we implemented?
We're going back around
12?
2008, 10, 12, somewhere around there, I think is when we did that, yes.
I think the general consensus was, though, that if the county isn't seeing a benefit for the reduction in the payment, why continue it?
Yeah.
And if the purpose was to get those funds up front, but if that's not happening, then what's the reason for the early discount? If we're not gonna get any of those monies any differently.
Do any of these funds go towards restitution of that 75? Is any of it towards?
We eventually get, if the individual pays their full bill, we
Right.
eventually get the full $75 or the full $100.
Right, but I'm talking restitution to a victim. And I'm trying to understand the logic of why we're not simply charging cost. What does it cost us to provide the service? Now, if it was going as part of restitution to a victim, I could see where you increase the fees above and beyond what it actually costs to provide you the service.
Right.
But if it only costs $25 to provide the service, I don't want to put an unnecessary financial burden on that individual, the convicted individual, because again, I want that $50 they might be paying to go towards their family, or, again, I'm being kind of Pollyannish here, but that's where I'd like to see the money to go, and not simply because we're collecting more than we actually really need to run the service, to provide the service.
Right, so I think there's two answers, at least two answers to part of your question there, Commissioner. So, and I don't know the formula, maybe the judge would know, I'm not sure, but when court costs and restitution are determined,
Yeah,
the law indicates who gets what first.
right.
I'm not sure what that
Yeah.
is. But getting back to the $100 and the $75, I'm not sure, but that may be tied to grant monies that were originally stated on, here's how we plan to pay for this program
Sure.
and the equipment and so forth.
Right.
And we're gonna do it this way by paying, so there may be a hook
Right.
back there, but I can't
Okay.
say that's true,
Yeah.
but I know that happened in other cases.
And that's basically what, you know, those monies do, is pay for the individual that's doing the fingerprints, pays for when we have to do upkeep on all our maintenance and stuff on all the equipment. Just several years ago, we had to replace the whole entire machine at a cost of almost $20,000.
Right, yeah.
And that happens every so often, every 5-10 years that you have to replace a machine. So there are some significant costs in running the live scan.
There are, but we should know those costs, because again, if we're willing to offer someone it for $75, we're not offering them $75 at a loss for us, right? At 75, we're still making, or at least breaking even. So if we know we have to buy a live scan every 10 years and it's gonna cost $20,000, that's part of understanding the cost of the service. So again, I don't know if 100 or 75 is the right amount, but we know it's at least 75 because we're not going in the red at 75. But again, are we unnecessarily burdening a person who we're trying to, give a leg up, get them back into society? Talked about work release, right? The same reason the work release program, because we want them to be able to support their family. We want them to be able to pay restitution, and the hope is they'll take that extra money and do those things. But again, for another day, but I'm just trying to understand the logic of, what does it cost and what is a fair price for it.
So you said, Tim, that if someone wants to get it for an adoption, you charge $20 or $25. So the question is, why are they being charged $20 or $25 and we're charging the inmate $75?
Because all their information isn't going into the system, into the Pennsylvania State
But what's the
Police's.
additional effort of the county? I thought the live scan goes directly into the system when you do it. I've never done it, but I
Yeah.
thought that was my impression. So what's the additional labor cost, time cost to the county?
The live scan, we're only doing the pictures and doing,
No, the live
The-
scan is the fingerprint
yeah,
and the
but
picture.
fingerprinting and that, but the rest of it is entering the information on each case into
Yeah.
the statewide criminal system.
So is
I
there
guess
more
it
being
is.
done?
Yeah,
When
for
it didn't make
criminal.
Yes, with an inmate, there is,
Yeah,
it's
that's the
entering
difference.
all their tattoos, all their personal information, taking a picture, doing their
And that's
fingerprints.
not done if a person comes in for
No.
adoption.
Right, yeah, if a person comes in for adoption, we basically do the fingerprints, put, their name and information on the card, and none of that is stored in the system.
So the second question that I think is, I heard what you said, and the question is, does the $75 have to be put into a general cost aggregation account as compared to can it be separated out and paid directly to the county? I don't know. I mean, it's like you do a credit evaluation, I know that's done by drug and alcohol, that has to be paid in advance, okay, it goes directly to them. This is a service, I mean, the county's spending time to, for the machinery and put it in. I don't know the answer, but it seems to me that someone should check it out, maybe the county solicitor would be the person to check it out, as to why can't this $75, why does it have to be placed directly into this general escrow account, since the service is being done now, right now and then, why can't it be to reimburse, to pay the county for the services providing immediately? I don't know, but it seems to me that would be an important thing to know. And the third thing is, I know that you're saying it's only 25 to 30% of what's being brought in for the live scan. I don't question those figures, I thought it was actually more, but if it's 25 to 30%, that's fine. But your collection rate from defendants generally, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's 50%. I mean, that's why it's one of the most highest outstanding amounts that's owed to the county. So it's one thing to say that, yes, overall, in terms of what's charged, this is 25 or 30%, but is it really 25 or 30% of what's recovered? Because if you're not getting payment of 50%, then this is really much more than 25 or 30% of what you're getting payment on. I don't know the numbers, but those kind of things I would think you'd want to know.
In fact, when we were sold on the idea, this was the percentage of our people paying up front according to other counties and everything was more like 70%.
I don't recall anymore.
I
I did think it was higher, Wayne, but times have changed, I
It
don't know.
was, and the other thing, and I'd be willing to go along with the 75 discount period, because I understand why we want to eliminate handling of funds, but if it's $100 for the other, it's the $20 for the live scan fees covering our costs of personnel time, maintenance of equipment, et cetera.
That's a great
And
point, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're underselling the
Maybe
service.
we're underselling in that part and
Yeah.
overcharging in another.
Well, that's the question I would ask, because fees have been the same for 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's covering the cost, but
Oh,
if it
yeah.
isn't, maybe it's 150.
Yeah, right.
We'll have the controller look into it.
Thank you.
So, we kind of have a couple different topics that we're floating right now, but I think if we go back down and narrow it down to the word's original request is, I think the request was to stop accepting cash payments at the prison, correct, Warden?
Yeah.
And that's what you're asking to eliminate. And then we have these other issues on how to determine what the live scan fee should be and if there should be a discount, so that's a separate matter. So before us right now, we have the warden's request to eliminate that and make that part of court costs. So I guess my question is do we have enough information to make that decision now based on those other topics that we are undecided?
I think we do, just eliminating one option is all we're doing, in my opinion, that we just make a motion that eliminate the discount for it and
Okay.
go from there.
Okay, now, and I'm not sure about this, Your Honor, is that part of any current practice order that we need to worry about that if this board decides not to no longer
I
accept?
don't recall either, I don't know, Ellie, if you know
Okay.
if there was a special order on that or not,
I just don't want to be in
I-
conflict with the court's order.
No, I don't know at this, I truly don't know, I mean, it was
Okay.
done, what, 10 or 15 years ago, I don't
Okay.
recall.
Okay.
Like I said, I just think there's a way around having to put the $75 into a general pool.
Yeah.
But, and again, if the 75%, $75 was getting advanced payments that you may not be getting overall, and if you can get the funds directly back to the county, I'm not sure you want to change that, but
Right.
That's a
And I
decision of
think-
the group.
And my recollection is, I just thought of this now, my recollection is when we were originally discussing that, and I think that topic actually came up, Your Honor.
it may have, I don't.
And the question was, why can't that $75 go into a separate account? And I think one of the issues was that, then what you may have, if they don't get, if the $75 goes into a separate account and they don't take advantage of the discount, and then the $100 goes into the court costs, now you have a discrepancy where you have some cases that aren't showing court costs for live scan and some are. So,
I hear you, and that could be that.
yeah, and so I don't know if that can be resolved, and then so if an auditor comes in and says, okay, I see this person is charged $100 for live scan, why isn't this person being charged $100 for a live scan? And then it's, well, that money was put in there at a discount into a different fund. I don't know. I don't know how that would work, I don't know, Mr.
Table it
Controller.
till next meeting till we have that
Yeah.
information, how many
Consistency, I think,
scans
is the
we're
key.
actually doing.
Right, so
how
I
many-
don't know if that poses a problem for costs, and then I don't know if you say, well, we're gonna have a separate account for that $75, and then we're also gonna have that $100 go into there. I don't know what kind of system you need when that money's eventually paid to the clerk to funnel that money to this account. And I think that's what happens now. I think it goes back to the county, correct, Warden?
Or if we then have that paid and that it comes directly to the live scan, then do we green sheet that, kind of like we do the $20 fee for somebody that comes in for fingerprints for an adoption
Right.
or employment or something like that? I don't know, but then here again, then you're still collecting money at the jail.
Right.
So
So,
instead of putting that $100 onto their costs, that goes to collections, it's $100 less that's going on their costs to begin with when they do pay up front. So,
And the last comment I wanna make is, you know, the judge said that maybe we need to have our county solicitor look at
yeah,
whether we need to, whether we can have a separate fund to put this, and our solicitor is not with us. So it almost seems to me that we need to table this until we get an opinion
At
from
least
our
we can look
solicitor.
into it, at least we got the money
Right,
in our
is that-
control.
Is that kind of agreeable with the board here, that we need to refer this to our solicitor?
I mean, yeah, and how many of the members really got to see any of the live scan reports?
Okay.
The only time I get is. when
Okay,
it's
so why don't we do
requested,
that?
so-
Why don't we table it and move, and refer it to our solicitor for review, and then we can bring it back up at the next
I
meeting?
think we should get a copy of that on a monthly basis, so we know.
Yeah.
what's going on.
Okay. All right.
And maybe, I don't know, Tony, if there's a way of retrieving, like you said, maybe this was analyzed 10 years ago. And maybe there's something, I don't know, I don't know if there was a letter of opinion from someone, if there was something.
Yeah,
I don't know, I mean, maybe it's easier to research it new, maybe it's easier to find out what's, I don't know.
the reasons why it was
Yeah, I
done.
just- I
Do you
can't-
have
I can't
access to any
recall.
of those? Maybe the prison board records.
First board records, but right now we don't have all of those.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see, Warden, see what you could find,
See what
and
you
then
can
we'll
find.
refer it on to the solicitor and
Okay.
take it up again at the next meeting.
All right. Okay, next thing I have is the proposal for psychiatric services. The current contract runs out, I believe, October 1. And I have a proposal from our current provider, Ethos Clinic, to do an extension for 2 years. The costs would remain the same, $150 for the psychiatrist or $125 for the physician assistant per hour for the above service proposals. And that would be for up to 4 hours per week. And they also have in here additional time can be discussed if the county deems that more than 4 hours per week are needed to provide care to the inmates.
Any questions? So, like, the question I would have, Warden, is, are we satisfied with the current services we're being provided with?
Yes.
Do you see any reason why we wouldn't want to continue with what we're doing?
At this point, no, I think, it's something that they work well with us. We've had no issues with them whatsoever. They're fairly local. Their office, I believe, is down where
Emmaus is where you
MHDS
have
used to
it
be. Huh?
It says Emmaus here, I don't know if that's what you mean.
Well, I believe the Dr. Abbas is down in Emmaus, but they do actually have an office here actually in Lehighton.
Okay.
So it appears to me that this is an action item that we can move on today. So I'll entertain a motion to, and what is it, to extend the contract, Warden?
To extend the contract
For a
for 2
period of
years.
2 years?
And there's no change in the fees?
No change in the
Oh.
fees.
I'll make that motion.
No.
Okay,
Motion to extend the contract. for 2
okay,
years.
second by Rocky, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries.
Okay, the last thing I had under old business is the medical services RFP update. To the best of my knowledge, this past Monday was the due date for the bids to come in. I don't know exactly how many bids or anything we had that came in on time and what the next option or timeframe is.
Can we ask the chief clerk, can you
Yeah.
fill us in?
There were 4 proposals sent out. St. Luke's, Lehigh Valley, Dr. Baddock, and Dr. McLaughlin. 2 proposals were received before the deadline. That was Dr. McLaughlin and Dr. Baddock. The proposals were opened by myself and the solicitor Tuesday morning. Dr. Baddock put in for the 2 years at $55,000 each year. And Dr. McLaughlin put in for $93,000 for each year for the 2 years. Now, I do have the proposals scanned and in my system that I emailed them out to all of the board members to take a look at, because I know there were some concerns about the service that Dr. Baddock had provided as Penn Medical. And I think the warden is the only one who could advise you how that service has been for the beginning of this year to present.
Okay, so, we all know, and I think this continued from last year into this year, that we had serious issues with the performance under the contract from Dr. Vadek's Penn Medical Group. And the warden has reported that it has improved, but I'm looking at it realistically, when you're coming up on a new contract, you're gonna improve your services so that you get it extended. I mean, that's just natural. I have to express my disappointment that St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley did not submit a bid, because we've been working with them on this project. And then, one of the, when I reviewed one of the contracts, or actually both of them, Ellie, so the contract basically says that we can agree to the 2-year contract, but either party could terminate with 90 days' notice. So realistically, we have 2 options to consider here. We can opt to go with one of these, and then if we continue to work with these other entities and find something better, we can still move on from it if the services do not improve or remain where they are now. So that's the comments I'm gonna make. It's open for discussion.
Did Dan have a chance to review them at all yet for any comments?
No, he had no comments.
Do we have time, how long are the proposals good for? Do we have till next month so
Oh, yes.
the prison board has time to review them, and if Dan has any issues, and we can act on it next month then?
The current
One way or
agreement
the
is
other.
good until October 1st.
Okay. So, would it be appropriate, I think it would be appropriate for the chief clerk to send out the proposals to each board member, and also to refer them to our solicitor for review and recommendation. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Do both of them have a 90-day opt-out, or is there only
Yeah.
one?
Yes.
They do, okay. And what does Dr. Baddick charge now? I mean, I know he put a proposal in for 55,
I think it's 53 or 54
so he
right
went up
now.
1 or 2,000.
Yeah, it was only like $1,000 a week
Right.
it worked out to be, I think.
Right, right. I mean, if you recall, and I don't know how much of it was this year, or how much was last year's, we were really left in a lurch when Dr. Baddick and his people stopped showing up. And we didn't have a backup plan, so that's why we started this search. So, okay, let's, with the agreement.
Is it appropriate to inquire why Lehigh Valley and St. Louis didn't
Well,
put a
I think
proposal in?
that's something that we could probably pursue, and that's why we're gonna ask those who were involved to see if they can
And I
find out
think,
what happened.
I think what the problem is they're not in the business of, just like the food services that come in, it's a different food service that's in the prison, what's in a school. And I think with them being in the hospital business, being a medical group in the prison is an altogether different thing. You know, and I mean, you could ask them, but that's my opinion, where, I mean, it's different. They look at different security issues, and maybe that's why they didn't wanna get involved in it. I mean, now, I think they would give, if these doctors would need other doctors to back up, you know, I mean, that would be in the system that, I mean, you can't run this with one doctor. You know, you have to have, 2 of them maybe on staff. I think they'd be willing to give some of their doctors to help out, but I think to give a contract like this, it's just an altogether different, let's say, ballpark for them, like I said. And the only way I can compare it is, like, the prison food is different than what it is in a school. So I mean, that's what I think, what they're looking at.
Okay, well, I think that this next month will give us an opportunity to find out.
Yeah,
Maybe if we
yeah.
inquire,
Yeah.
find out why they may or may not be interested, Mr. Controller.
Rocky, I thought that large group was going to rebid something more specific to what we were looking for.
The other group, where were they from? The other one that bid
McLaughlin?
for the 93,000, where were they
Oh,
from?
that was a Dr. McLaughlin?
But he does prisons
He
though,
does
correct?
prisons.
Yes, he does
Yes.
prisons.
But I think what the controller is referring to is a recommendation from one of the hospitals to go with a nationwide prison
Oh,
system.
yeah, they had that, what is it?
Private paramedical.
Something one or, yeah, they were recommending
And we never
that.
did get a proposal from them
Well,
for
I
a specific.
I think they had sent us something and it was like out of hand. I
Right.
think
It was
the
really
numbers
broad, it
Yeah.
was do everything.
Yeah,
Right.
they
Yeah.
wanted to do everything, and it wound up being, it was gonna be $750,000
Right.
with everything, and it would have been dental, and like our psychiatric group is working good, and we're just looking for a doctor, we're not looking for the whole thing, and I think that's what they wanted to bring the whole package in.
Was it all or nothing? Is that?
Yeah,
what you said?
that-
I don't know if it was all or nothing. I think they said that they might be able to
Yeah, I
specialize,
don't know
but I
if
don't
they
know if
ever-
they had an interest in that.
I don't know if they ever gave anything back to us.
You know what, though, I will say, now that I think about that one, Rocky, I remember we looked at it, it was absurd, but we really didn't look at it. I mean, what are our dental costs? You know, what were they gonna do in-house that we send out-house? And
Right.
it may be an absurd number, but really,
Yeah.
you know.
I thought that there was some inquiry about, especially the psychiatric services,
Oh, yeah.
that were way over what we currently spend.
Right.
That's my
Yeah,
recollection.
it was some, and it was just like, I mean, and all we wanted was a doctor
Right.
and a nurse or whatever
Yeah.
came with it.
For now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, talking about what the commissioner's talking about is,
Yeah.
if we could fix our problem now and then look at the big picture later.
Oh, yeah,
We can
oh,
do that.
yeah.
Okay, so we're at the point now where we're going to send out the two proposals we did see to each board member for consideration. We're gonna refer it to our solicitor to look at both of them. And I would just ask the chief clerk if there's a way to reach out to these other individuals and find out if they have a continued interest or not. I mean, obviously, they didn't submit anything on time, they don't. But, you know, there are partners in other areas and, you know, maybe just to reach out and just for our own codification, find out why they weren't interested. All right, anything else, Warden?
That was
Under old
all I had
business?
under old business.
Okay,
Under new business, the only thing I have is just to inform the board that today Frying Company, our auditors, are currently auditing the commissary and work release account. It's an annual audit that's done every year. So they are conducting that today, and as soon as I get their report, I will share that with the board.
okay. Anything other, under old new business?
Just a quick question, are they still using the trailer to keep the people out of the, public out of the prison?
We basically put that there to utilize it for the collection of bail, which we haven't had a lot of. You know, so it's sitting there.
But they're still using it for that?
If we need to, they utilize it for that. And a lot of the times, you know, the person just stands outside and they do the collection instead of opening up the trailer. They'll just stand outside the door and do everything too. So I mean, it may even be a fact that we could probably get rid of that and, you know, send it back over to the Tom Center if need be. You know, so.
Okay, so, I mean, we're not moving it too far. If you feel there's no use for it now, why don't we move it back over there? And then if our use increases, we can always bring it back, correct, Warden?
Couldn't do that, or I
Is there any
mean, we just
objection
wanna,
to
I
doing
mean,
that?
other than sitting out in front of the jail, if we just wanna leave it there until if and when this pandemic ever stops, so.
We can do that
We
too.
could do that
All
too.
right, let's just let it sit there for a while.
Tim, has maintenance or Larry reached out to you in regards to running, the cable to bring the clerk of court's computer out to the foyer
No,
to its
no,
original intent?
No.
Yeah, so Larry was gonna go up there and he was gonna run the
Oh,
wire.
yes, they did
Then
say that.
Jerry would go ahead and do the ends and they're gonna move the computer, right, that's the pay system, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Move that into the foyer area.
Okay, and then we
Yeah.
can move on that. Okay,
And currently, even once we get that done, we still can't download everything for the ALPC on our current computers because of their outdatedness, so we still have to wait till we got our new system up to the facility.
To move that system to the foyer?
Well, they could move that to the floor, they could pay it on it, but then
Right.
the sergeants wouldn't have any way of looking on our system in the back to see whether or not it was paid.
Right, but the whole,
And-
the main point though is we didn't want individuals having to go into the sergeant's office,
Right, yeah,
non-prison personnel going in there to do their transactions, right?
right.
but
So,
wasn't there a proposal to put two computers up there pending the wardens being
They would put
upgraded?
another one, Jerry, matter of fact, I understand had one, or the
Okay.
clerk had an additional one that they
Right.
could put up there.
So that we're gonna have one outside, we're gonna have one for the sergeants.
Right.
In the interim until you can get your system upgraded,
Right.
is that still the
Yep.
plan?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything more under new business? Okay. No. We'll move on to correspondence,
There was none.
none. Solicitor is not here today, so there's no solicitor's report. Is there any further business before the prison board today? Okay, there is none, so we stand adjourned until our next meeting. Thank you.